Okay, now I'm going to demo oil pastel, and this happens to be my new favorite lately. If you check my blog out, I've been working on several paintings and actually been combining the oil with acrylic paint and having tons of fun with it. So, to get started, I have a little assortment of pastels. I have tons of these pastels. These are, I think, professional grade. They might be student grade. I do tend to like the professional grade. They blend a little bit better. And then I have some finer, smaller sticks for detail work. Total different feel. Again, it's a preference. I also found these Winsor Newton bars. I absolutely love those. They really go on like butter. You can actually play around with some tools and build up like you were working on an oil painting. So usually how I start is the same way. You can try them differently. The mark making's the same way. Thicker, lighter, thicker, lighter. You can work with them on their sides. Alright, and I hope my hat is not getting in this picture. Alright, and you can try, I've got blue, so let's see if we get a little green going on here. Yep. There we go, and then you can see the yellow in the difference. One thing about, now these oil pastels do not have like a casing over them when they dry. These pastels do. And what I mean by that, and I know I showed some of you in the classroom, what happens is once they dry, they get hard. Notice how they're not coming off on my finger. And I have just an old knife, and I literally, I'm going to do it off on some paper towel here. I have to actually peel off that shell, that kind of protective shell. So they actually last forever. All you have to do is kind of just carve them off and you're good to go. Get it off. I'll kind of show you. This is ultramarine, I think. Look how nice and dark that is. Probably to you it looks black. Alright, and I'm going to overlay it with, yep, Mrs. Maggio wasn't prepared. My white has that chalky stuff on it. And you can just see, I didn't clean off my knife, and I've made a little mess behind. Okay, it's nice and soft now. Comes off on my finger. Oh, and it's so fun to blend. I just love it. You can do the same thing with it. Make stabbing marks. Alright. And I'm going to switch to these just because they're easier to work, quicker to work with, because I think since I didn't clean these all up, they've got, notice these come with a little case, and even those in the case have dried up. So I'm just going to save time, I'm not going to clean these all up. We'll just work with these pastels. So let's see, I've got a nice kind of a bronzy color. Yep, works great. Kind of like a pointillism effect going on. We can, just like the chalk pastels, cross hatching. Same thing. Let's see, let's contrast it. It's kind of a light color. And I see that there's blue on here. And I'm just going to clean that off. I don't want that blue. I want that purple showing. So I always have paper towel. Yep, same thing. Here we go. Mark making's working really nicely. Alright, and again, smooth it out. Set it there. Let's see what happens. this is what I've kind of noticed about these. These don't, let's just say they're not butter. They're a different consistency. Notice how I can't, because it's oil, it's not going over on top of it like you noticed with the pastel. If you used a softer pastel, it would layer up. So what I've done in the past with my paintings is, if I put a lot of layers on and I can't add any more color to it, I actually let them set for a couple days and they dry, just like an oil painting. They don't dry immediately like acrylic paint. They dry over time. So I set it and I just leave it. Once it's kind of gotten a hard surface, then I can go back in, and I am sure that this color would show over the top of it. You can use a couple of different things. You can, if you're using big areas, like some of my bigger paintings, you can actually blend with a paper towel. And I tend to do that just because it is oil, and I don't think for health reasons you really want to get that in your skin. So I go through paper towels quite a bit when I'm working with the oil pastels. If you have tight little corners and you're working on a big painting and you have these chunky pieces, these tools are really nice. They come in different sizes, dimensions, and I've actually kind of, can you see that? You could probably have a darker color on. See how I'm kind of moving it and I actually built up some right there. And I just laid it over the white. And that works. So you'll get a really lot of nice texture. This is something, I just think they're so fun. There I picked up some of the white and I'm blending it into the piece. You know, and let's see what happens. Let's experiment here. Let's see what happens if I build up a lot of the oil yellow on here. Wipe off my pastel and I kind of wipe it. Noticed I picked up some color. Let's see what happens. Ah, there we go. How do you like that? Get enough onto it and you can actually put it right on your piece. Well, see, I'm actually, where it's not too thick, blending right over it. It's nice, it's thick, so you can see the texture it's kind of building up on this. Ooh, nice. This is called just kind of randomly experimenting. Happy accidents sometimes. Wow, look at that great texture. And that's just what I love about these. They're like butter, they're thick, and you can have a lot of fun with them. Let's see what happens when we go here. Again, art's really about having fun. Don't get too worried. Let's see what happens. I'm going to chunk some of that stuff in there. Get too worried about making mistakes, because that's really the best way to learn. You know, if I thought about it, I probably wouldn't be able to do it if I really was thinking too hard. By having fun is when I usually come up with the neatest ideas. There, that's kind of neat. I don't know if you can see it, but some of that copper color makes the paper. Again, sometimes instead of getting frightened and stopping, push yourself through that fear and build up the layers. I still work on that myself, especially when I've worked a long time on a painting. And what I've discovered is, so you make a mistake. Excuse me. So what do? Wipe it off. Alright? Especially when it's still wet, you can wipe it down. And I even have taken Turpenoid It's, you use that to clean your brushes when you're using oil paint. Works the same way. Put a little bit on paper towel, and you can actually wipe almost right down with a turpenoid down to the paper. Again, let it sit overnight, and then you can start right over on top of it again. Alright, practice doing some fun things. Again, if it's wet, it doesn't tend to blend well. Ooh, there we go. That actually is going over there, which is nice. I'm going to take my finger and see what we can do. Oh, I think I see a little orange happening there. How do you like that? I'm building up. And now I'm doing some mark making to add texture to the piece. Alright. So that's oil pastel. I actually love it. It's fun. It is totally different. Do you get messy? Yes, but in a totally different way. One thing about the oil pastels, because they build up that skin as they're drying, always make sure that you keep them in, I don't know if you can kind of see this, but I have a plastic container. I put them back where they belong. I don't think that one went in there. I close up everything. On these that we have at school, we kind of already talked about it. I actually put a layer of saran wrap over it. And it actually kind of works pretty well. And then I slide it right back into its box. And I must admit, it goes into my plastic container. I put them all like that. I actually kind of keep, I love these just because they're nice. They keep them separate, and then they don't kind of mix and get muddied up in the piece. Another thing, oh, I didn't show you this, but you can use Q-tips to blend with the oil pastels. They also work for dry pastels. Alright. One thing I didn't mention with the dry pastels, but I do that with I also do it with the dry pastel. When I'm working on, or if I get a new box of colors, again, working with different color paper changes the color of your pastels, and paint for that matter. Here you've seen I actually listed them on. I actually have their names next to them. So when I'm working on a job, I actually, sometimes they don't look like this color. But since I have this little cheat sheet, I know what the color is going to look like when I put it on the dark paper. So I highly recommend doing that. I'm working on a painting right now, and this is from the painting. You can see where I'm blending colors, trying to get just the right effect. Again, and that, if you have your sketchbook when you're working on your projects, slide that in. But always write notes next to it. I always call it my recipe book, so that I remember what the color was because I write it right on there. Much easier to find. All the materials have numbers on them. This one, I can't, if you see it, it's number 220. It's listed on here. I can immediately find it instead of, marking up a paper trying to find the right color. Alright, so I think I have explained everything. Try both mediums just to experiment, see which one you prefer, and you guys are already, you're set to go. Alright, see you in school.